What's going on, true believers? Welcome to another episode of One Shot. I am your host, Jacob, and it has been a relatively light week. The books were more or less okay, but what was sweet that I did recently pick up just today, some swag from my local comic shop, Heroes and Games. If you're ever in Columbus, Ohio, definitely check them out. They're in the convention center. They've always treated me very good, and I'm always happy to go back into their shop anytime. But let's get started, shall we? With Batman Urban Legends number 9. This cover is absolutely beautiful, as real, cardstock, but the content is more or less just boring to me. I'm not overly enjoying any of the 3 stories in it. I don't know. I might wind up dropping this one. It's just relatively boring for the most part. I mean, you get 3 stories, but none of them are anything super special to me. Batman, the Imposter. This is number 2. We're getting year 3 Batman. Still not super confident in his fighting skills and detective work. More or less, this plays out more like a drawn out detective novel ish. Batman's trying to work his way into surveillance systems and people's lives in order to work out, get more information about the imposter case. It's pretty long-winded, but I mean, it's okay. You know, it's been all right. I'm hoping it kind of picks up a little bit more in the future issues, but another just okay one. I think the market is just kind of oversaturated with Batman, and it's getting kind of hard to tell a decent Batman story. The Joker, number 9. Speaking of more Batman-related things, Commissioner Gordon. I believe her name is Vengeance. The spoiler alert, if you're not reading this, the clone of Bane, but they cloned Bane as a female. I believe they call her Vengeance in this. So Commissioner Gordon and Vengeance find the Joker and this other guy who I can't remember his name, but apparently he's a guy who will clone you for money and replace you and fake your death and stuff like that. They're having a conversation, and then the cloning guy, he reveals everything that he does to Jim Gordon. Overall, the series has been pretty good. It's finally starting to pick back up. In this issue, the cliffhanger is Jim Gordon is kind of in trouble. He's bleeding out, so he's decided to call Barbara. But this series has been pretty good. There have been a few, I wouldn't say disappointing, but mediocre issues. This might be close to one of the mediocre ones, a little higher. But overall, this series has been pretty good, and that cover is really amazing to me. Stillwater, issue 11. I did not know that they were going to do another issue of this so soon. The way things have been done in Stillwater is kind of over. Now one of the adult childs, if you know anything about this story, is running the town, and they're implementing like a one in, one out policy, and the way out is never good. But this series has been pretty good. Chip Zdarsky, say his name all the time. Can never really go wrong with him. this is kind of a startup issue for another arc, so not too much is happening, but you can kind of see where things are going to start heading from here. But still, this story has been pretty good. Stillwater. Venom, issue number 1. Not only did I pick up this cover, I picked up one of the variants. This was a thick issue. So Eddie Brock can send his consciousness into symbiotes anywhere, apparently, even in the universe. And Dylan is kind of been left behind. He's kind of had to raise himself, it seems, because Eddie is more and more not present. But something is happening. Excuse me. An entity took over one of the symbiotes that Eddie's consciousness was with. There was 4 of them, and basically told him the future was not looking good for him. He was going to get kicked off the throne. He's now the King in Black, if you've been following the story. But Eddie is not currently wearing the Venom symbiote, but he still has connections to all symbiotes. So we learn he learns that he has the ability not only to throw his consciousness through space, but now he can kind of throw it through time. So he can connect to symbiotes in other time periods. So he's kind of trying to just learn this power to get a glimpse of what's coming. And then something happens to where there's 2 of him, 2 Eddie Brocks out there. And one is trying to capture Dylan, but he contacts him just in time to send him to where he's at. The story's a little confusing because I don't know, I must have missed something in previous issues. But Dylan eventually bonds with the Venom symbiote in this one, so Dylan is the new Venom. Kind of interesting because Eddie Brock is still kind of calling himself Venom, so now there's 2 Venoms, but one is not really. I don't know what's going on. But Donny Cates, I'm always on board starting his new series. Whether he can live up to finishing that series out, I never know. But always good to see a new number 1 of Venom. Justice League Last Ride, issue 7. I think this was the finale. I'm not sure. They didn't say it was. But it seems like it might be the new beginning of a new Justice League. They put Lobo on trial. They beat the what was his name? They beat the Green Lantern version of I'm blanking on his name now. Anyway, they succeeded in doing everything that they needed to do in this issue, and then the Justice League kind of reforms, and they're like, we need to not only be the Justice League for Earth, we need to be it for the universe. So it's going to be like Justice League Universe or something like that. I can't remember the title. But overall, this series has been good. Another Zdarsky book. And I believe Zdarsky is going to be working on the other one. He's kept my attention through a Justice League book, so he must be doing something right, because I'm not usually too big on that. But not a bad series. Justice League Last Ride. Now, Justice League Universe, maybe. The Amazing Spider-Man 78. So we're learning more about the Beyond Corporation in this one. If you're like a Aliens fan, you know the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. They seem to be kind of bordering that territory where human life doesn't really matter. It's all about the experiments and what they can do with that. But in this one, Ben Reilly fights Morbius and takes a bite from him, so he's infected. Morbius loses his arm, gets in a fight with the rest of the Beyond teams. Something's going down. Something is about to happen, and they're setting it up. Not to get too much into it, but I've been enjoying this series. I know I've said it many times, way more than the Nick Spencer run has been doing for me. This has been so much better than that run. And I'll still be on board. I'm a Spider-Man junkie. Avengers, Tech on Avengers, issue number 4. So the team is seeming to lose a little bit of trust in Tony Stark because he keeps pulling out secrets that he's not telling them about. They're kind of like, we need to have a talk with him. And Captain America's like, I'll have a talk with him when this crisis is over. The Red Skull threw a bunch of Ultrons at the team trying to defeat them. Black Panther comes back and wipes the floor with all the Ultrons, just by himself. This series has just been a fun read. It's light. It doesn't take itself serious. It's just good fun, and I believe it's almost over. There's another issue or 2 left. I'm excited to see how this one ends because it's been pretty decent. A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, number 2. So this book is not overstaying its welcome at all. If anything, it is very brief. There is not a whole lot of dialogue to this. This book tells its story through visuals mostly. And man, this story is good. This guy we thought he was more of a normal guy, but it seems like there's a little hidden past of his to where he might be involved in some type of possible hit situations. I don't really know how to describe this book too much. I would let it describe itself, because it's definitely one worth reading. I mean, looking at anyway. There's not a whole lot of reading, but it's definitely it piques my interest so much. It keeps me gripped even without having anything to read. I'm definitely impressed with this one. A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. And I saved the best cover for last for sure. Alien issue number 8. I absolutely love this cover. It's almost like a Whistler's Mother done in the horror style. It is fantastic. This series has been pretty good. Definitely good for a Disney Alien book. I've been impressed with their work on this series. I did not think that they could pull off horror that well. This book proves they can do it justice. People are finally finding out that the alien landed on their planet, that this person that's been trying to tell them this was right. And now I think we're going to start seeing the town try to band together to get rid of this alien threat. What can I say? Aliens and Spider-Man some of my favorite story arcs. This one is a good one for sure. Alien from Marvel. And then there's a few back issues of things that I've picked up recently. I picked up the Sensational She Hulk issue #1. Definitely a classic cover. I've been starting to get my She Hulk collection going. Probably a little too late now that she's become a pretty popular character now that they're doing a Disney Plus series. But I figured start at #1. But also another very popular cover, #34. This is probably the second most expensive cover that this series has, just by me doing a few searches here. The Vanity, I believe they call it the Vanity Fair cover. I picked that one up. And issue 52, which this is definitely an amazing cover. I was looking at it, and the more I looked at it, the more I was seeing things. I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, the hourglass is empty. Her time has run out. Death's here and stuff. There's just like little nuanced things to look at that you don't notice until you just study it for a little while. I thought it was really cool. But that is all I have for you today. Thanks for stopping by and checking out what I picked up. Always a pleasure to have you here. If you could, leave me a like down below. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you bought. Tell me what I should be reading. I know there was an issue with Diamond this week where a few orders didn't make their way through. I believe there was like a Diamond hack that happened. So I'm still waiting on probably a few books to show up. That's why my week was a little lighter. But my wallet thanks the hackers, even though I don't. But yeah, leave me a like, leave me a comment. Come back next week. I do these once a week until I think of something else to do, and then maybe I'll do another episode of something. Who knows? Maybe I'll show off a few of my special issues. But stop by next week. Subscribe, and as always, have a good day.